Hey there, Lori Kennedy here, and this is the Business of Becoming podcast for entrepreneurs who want to build the business and life of their dreams all on their own terms. Whether you're into marketing, sales, online business strategy, paid advertising, technology and scaling, or personal relationships, health, wealth, mindset, raising children, and spirituality, the Business of Becoming podcast is your weekly dose of no-holds-barred conversations, inspiration, and practical training so you can up-level your business and your life all on your own terms. Well, hello there and welcome back to the Business of Becoming podcast. This is episode 17 and I am your host, Lori Kennedy. And today we're getting a little techie with it with Elan Zusman, the co-founder of ZigiMedia. So before you break out into the tech sweats, I promise this episode gives you many practical tools to help you set your tech foundation. We mention a lot of different platforms, tools, and resources, all of which can be found on the show notes over at lorikennedyinc.com/podcast. Now, in full transparency, I am a client of Elan's. I have his company on retainer to help me build my campaigns and troubleshoot my own tech. Investing in a tech person was actually one of the first things that I did early on, and I'm really excited to have this conversation. As co-founder of ZigiMedia, Elan helps businesses of all sizes strategize, build, market, and grow their online presence using the latest online marketing technologies. With over 10 years experience in online marketing and business development, Elan strives to provide his clients with smart, effective online marketing solutions. So we start this conversation by talking about something that's really important, the difference between ZigiMedia, a company like Elan's, and a simple web development company. And of course I got a little heated because I've dumped way too much money down the toilet when it comes to building websites. And so since I'm a lover of all things tech, it's time to jump into this episode. So without further ado, let's welcome Elan to the podcast. Hey Elan, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi Lori, and hey everyone out there listening. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
So I want to sort of preface this podcast because Elan and I are friends. His company, ZigiMedia, also runs the entire back end of my company and manages all of our technology and does my Facebook ads. So we're very friendly. We joke a lot together. We have a very similar sense of dry humor. And so this episode will not only be super informative, but it'll also hopefully be funny. So Elan, let's just start off by sharing a little bit about what you do, what your expertise is.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So ZigiMedia really is a full marketing web agency. We do everything from, building websites to building funnels to running Facebook ads for people who are, just getting started running Facebook ads, or larger companies with larger budgets that are looking to grow their lead base and increase conversions. So, it's really across the board. But yeah, I mean, we're experts. I don't want to say experts of all, but really we are. I mean, we do a lot of different really cool things online that, that our clients, that I hope they appreciate. And I know they convert pretty well.
One of the things that I love about working with you is that you always tell me the truth. So Elan is the guy that, I'll be able to say, I have this idea, and he'll tell me the truth. Or if we have a certain branding idea or a strategy, because he's had so much experience, and also too, as much as I'm a client and the client's always right, like they really have this sort of inside scoop to be able to say, like, I don't think that's going to work, and or try this instead. And one of the things I'll just explain to everybody listening before we dive into today's content is the difference between hiring just a web developer and someone who knows technology in terms of like CRMs, which is the customer relations management. And so a web developer versus someone who has in-depth experience building their own businesses, who also knows direct response marketing, online marketing, funnel building, conversions, things of that nature. So why don't we just describe what the difference is? Because I think a lot of people are like, I already have a website. Why do I need you? And just explain what the difference is.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I mean, first of all, web design has kind of become, in general, a commodity. You have all these free website builders out there like Wix or Squarespace, and make it super simple to get your website up online. On top of that, every Joe and his cousin and or uncle is a web designer. So there's nothing that really makes them stand out. Maybe it's their artistic flair. And really that's how I started. I started just, designing websites 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was. But yeah, it's developed from there. Luckily I've had, a lot of experience in online marketing, which I've been able to use not only for my own business and businesses that I've created, but also this ZigiMedia, which is what we do now with helping clients grow their online exposure. Now, just designing a website these days is just not enough. You really need to know what goes on in the back end. When I say back end, I mean what happens like after people opt in, or what do you need to do to get more people to opt in, whether it's off your website or whether it's off a landing page. There's a lot of data out there that shows that it's an actual science. So, through trial and error and through running, hundreds of online programs for clients and building them for ourselves and other businesses that we've created, we have that experience that we know what works. And just to touch on your point before, a lot of people, and, we have a great relationship, but, a lot of people won't always tell the client the truth. They'll tell the client what they want to hear. And I know sometimes you'll throw a picture or a headshot, and I'll give you the dirt. I'll say, Lori, you look like shit in that picture. And, and I think, some clients, and I know you do, appreciate that honesty, because as I said, a lot of people, there's a lot of yes men out there. I don't consider myself one of them. If I think something's not going to work, or if I think something doesn't look good, I'll let my client know. And I think having that transparency and honesty really goes a long way.
Yeah, and I just wanted to start the podcast episode. We're going to get into, what technology platforms to choose when you're just getting started and different levels. We're going to talk about the different funnels, but I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding, the difference between working with someone who has in-depth experience and knowledge and expertise in building out sales processes and funnels and, client attraction, lead magnet pieces, and understands conversions and really gets the whole system of it, versus someone who's just going to build you a website. Because in my opinion, when you do that, you're just literally throwing money down the toilet. And I know when I came to you, it was for that purpose. It was because I needed that additional strategy. It was because I needed that person to help me run things, who understood it better than I do, to be like that second set of like eyes and brain, which I know that a lot of our listeners would love, because we all went to school. Unless you're listening to this and like you do already what Elan does, which I don't know if that's true. Like, why would you be listening to this? Then none of us went to school or have a business that it specializes in online marketing. We have to learn it. But in my opinion, it's always, this is, how I've grown my business and how I run my life is like, let me go find the better person to do this thing and I'll just pay them to do it, because I know what I'm good at, which is really like two things. And it's important for me to have people on my side who can advise me. And so that's, in addition to obviously like building out campaigns and stuff like that, for me, that's been really, really critical for me to have. And so that's another element too of why working with someone who can both do the build out and the strategy is really, really important.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not just design, right? It's not just website design. This isn't 2002 and having like a flash website with stuff flying in and out.
Right.
There's marketing, there's automation. Like the game has changed, and the technology available to the small business owner, which I assume are most of the people listening to this podcast, they didn't have access to the technology that we now have access to as little as like 5 years ago. It just really didn't exist. You had to literally build custom programs that could cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And only the big guys, like, the big brands and the big agencies were the ones that were utilizing it. But now, and I know we'll get into that in just a bit, with these new added these tech tools that are now affordable to the everyday Joe that's just getting their business started, it's really changed the game. So it's not just about having a website anymore. This isn't 1999 or 2000. It's about having an online strategy of how you're going to actually acquire people. Once you acquire them, how are you going to nurture them to the point that they're ready to buy? Because we can get into, we could probably geek out and talk for hours here, but it's all about the lifestyle, the life cycle or the journey of the client, all the way from I've never even heard of you to, okay, I trust you now. I'm ready to invest with you, whatever your service might be.
So absolutely. So we're going to definitely dive into that when we talk about like a foundational funnel. But before we do, I want to go through the different levels of business and just talk about the different technology tools, the platforms that you would recommend. So for someone who is just getting started, let's say they're within their first year of business, what are some of the tech tools that you feel are non-negotiable to have?
Well, that's a very good question. I would say number one is a website. You need some kind of presence now. We got to come kind of back out here. Now, a lot of people get confused with what they need to get their business off the ground with what they need to get their programs and other things off the ground like that. Because if you're starting a business, you have to have a website. I mean, this is 2017. It could be 2018 by the time people are listening to this or beyond. You need a website in today's day and age just to show that you're alive. If you don't, then you pretty much you're non-existent. So for people that are just starting to get started, they definitely need some kind of website. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It's not something that you got to spend months and months building, but you have to have some kind of presence. And also, what I like to see is an email address. I see a lot of people who still use they even have a website, but they still use a Gmail account as their primary method of communication. That just shows, that you're not as big as you're maybe trying to project. And, it's not very difficult to set up an email at your domain. I think that's critical. Like it's pretty standard, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't have that little piece in place. As far as tools, something like an autoresponder, an email autoresponder, which is basically a glorified word for an email marketing program. Think about MailChimp, think about Constant Contact or one of those. In today's day and age, you need to have something that is going to be able to capture leads and a way to actually email and market to your list. Now, email marketing softwares or autoresponders, whatever you want to call them, they've changed quite a bit in the last, I would say, half a dozen years, where you had these systems like MailChimp or Constant Contact that were great, or Aweber, that were great for just sending out blasts to if you had a 5,000 person list. But what they quickly realized, and other companies quickly jumped on this, is that they didn't have enough they weren't smart enough. So a lot of them have made the shift towards marketing automation, which we can kind of get into a little bit. I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but having a smart email system that's able to, number one, segment your list, able to send out the proper emails to the proper people, depending on what they've done or what action they've taken on your website or within your program or within your lead magnet. And having that as a backbone, I think in today's day and age is critical, because as important as social media and everything is, and I know you can attest to this, there's still a lot of money to be made with email marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get that question a lot. What I want to go back to is something you said about having your email as your business. Can you recommend a company for that? So my email, for example, would be support@LoriKennedyInc.com versus Lori123@gmail.com or Yahoo or Hotmail or whatever. So what platform can people use to get those types of domains?
We typically, I mean, you can register your domain name anywhere, like a GoDaddy or Namecheap or Network Solutions. There's 1,000 of them out there, domain registrars. Once you have your domain name and you're set on that, what I highly, highly, highly recommend is setting up a Google G Suite account. What that basically means is you can use Google to send email from your domain. So it's just like logging into Gmail, except instead of it being sent from LaurieKennedy@gmail.com, the email is being sent from Laurie@LaurieKennedy.com. Now, the big, huge benefit to that is, number one, your email will never go down. So if you have your email set up with your web host, what you'll see is you'll have email problems. We encounter this all the time. In fact, we do web hosting, and I tell my web hosting clients, we don't want to host your email because we don't want to have that responsibility. Use Google G Suite. It costs $5 per email per month, and your email will never go down. You'll never get spam. You'll be able to access it from wherever you want. Connects easily to your iPhone or your Android. And it's just super easy. And on top of that, it gives you, I think, like 30 gigs of space on G Drive, which again is a critical application that I think every small business should be using to grow their business. Creating shareable Google Docs or spreadsheets. I mean, stuff like that can go a long way over, using the old school way of, connecting your email to Outlook and then using Microsoft Word and Excel. I mean, that's still works fine, but that's quickly becoming the way of the past.
Yeah, and I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. And I went back to this because that's how we do things. So we have G Suite. And this way, you're able to, with G Suite, have your own. So let's say it was like Amanda@amandahealthcoaching.com. And then it would be support@amandahealthcoaching.com. And so you can have your own personal email as your domain, and then a support email, which I always recommend everybody have, so that when your clients are emailing you, they're not actually emailing you your personal email. They're emailing the support. So they get used to emailing like a support. And then that way you can have even an autoresponder on there. Like, it just separates transactions, let's say, from the actual like client work. And then go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, oh, you know what, though, $5 per month per email, I have 5 emails. You can actually do something and set something up called an alias. So as Laurie said, if it's Amanda@amandahealthcoaching.com, you can actually set up an alias of support@amandahealthcoaching.com, sales@amandahealthcoaching.com, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all forwarding emails to that one primary email. So don't think because, maybe I need 3 or 4 different emails, I'm going to have to be spending $15, $20 a month on email, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot. But if you're just getting started, we understand that, costs need to be contained. So keep that in mind for anyone who is just getting started and looking to, how am I going to have this email? But sending, having your Gmail run as your business is a big no-no in today's day and age. It just makes you look unprofessional.
It makes you look amateur. And for those of you thinking alias and Gmail and domain emails, it all sounds very technical. I promise you it's not. It's very easy to set up emails through G Suite and to even set up aliases. It's super, super easy. And there's tons of video that you can even watch to show you how to do it. So, okay. So for those people just getting started, let's do a recap. They need a website. I'm going to go out and throw out that they need a WordPress website. I personally don't recommend people start with like Wix or Squarespace. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think people get sucked into that, hey, it's a free website. Why don't I just do it? Even GoDaddy, if you register a domain name, they try and upsell you and give you like free website builders. And the fact of the matter is they're kind of crap. They're good because they're easy to use, but they're not good once your business starts growing. And then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, now I got to get, a website built that, I'm all for setting the foundation, a proper foundation. And yeah, I would definitely agree WordPress is definitely the way to go. A little bit more technical, and sometimes there are some other costs involved to get that set up, but at least it gives you the flexibility and space to grow beyond, because we have a lot of people transfer from Wix. They set up their Wix by themselves. It was something that they put up fast, which which is fine. But as I said, I'm all about setting up the foundation so that you don't have to come back and do construction again, because it gets costly.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is coming from someone who spent tens of thousands of dollars on websites over the years. Sadly. Okay. And then we have our emails as our domain. So we're saying G Suite for that. And then our email marketing program. So is there one specific one that you recommend?
Yes, I really like ActiveCampaign. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. It's the reason I like it, especially for small, medium-sized businesses, is because it's just super easy to use. It's affordable. It's not going to break the bank, and it's super powerful. It gives you the ability to do the simple things like send email broadcasts to your entire list, but it also has some very, very powerful features to let you do some of that marketing automation that I talked about a little bit earlier, where your follow-up emails are actually smart based off of what people have done, whether they've bought a program or clicked a link or not opened an email. You can actually get really ninja when it comes to setting up your email marketing.
And you guys can't see me, but I'm smiling because there's times where I'll send Elan these strategy plans, and he replies to me and is like, this is really like ninja, like this is really intense. And it's because I understand the strategy of it. And with these marketing platforms, what we're able to do is to really dive deep into them and schedule things out and segment. Can you explain what segmenting is?
I definitely can. So segmenting, it's important to understand where people are in your list, whether they're a new subscriber, whether they're an actual buyer of one of your programs, whether they're just getting introduced to you. So it's important to kind of break that up into multiple pieces. Now, there's a number of different ways to do that within ActiveCampaign. Or with any email marketing program. But what I like to typically do is have people who are part of your general list, and then you have people who are actually buyers. At the end of the day, the whole goal is to take people from your general list and convert them into buyers. Once you've converted them into buyers, then the messaging changes quite a bit. It's a whole new ballgame. You have to adjust your message. Your message you can't be talking to your buyers the same way as you're talking to someone who just got introduced to you and just got on your list. So knowing kind of where people are in your in the life cycle or journey of your program or your business will help you really fine tune and cater your email marketing and your messaging to where they're at to push them to that next stage that you want to get them to.
And one of the reasons that I love ActiveCampaign is because it uses tags and automation so that you can really identify where people are in their customer journey, let's say, in their life cycle by tags. So if they entered through, a sugar challenge, you can tag them that way. Or if they entered in through recipes, you can tag them that way. And that'll also help you to decide what kind of programs your ideal clients like, because you can see who's opting into which parts and what they like the most and which emails they open the most. And you can get some really good data based off of just paying attention to what your clients, your prospects, your customers are doing inside of your email marketing platform.
Yeah, for sure. Like it comes back to like if you want to send a blast for, say, a Black Friday sale or a Christmas sale or a New Year's sale, whatever it might be, you could segment, say, based on tags. It says, show me everyone who has downloaded my sugar-free challenge but has not bought my actual program. And, it will actually segment or pull all those people out so that when you send the email is going to the right person. One of the things that we like to do, and this is a ninja trick, another ninja trick, is basically when we send out blasts, what we'll do is we'll send it out, and then 2 days later, a day or two, 3, we give it some time for people because everyone opens emails at different times. After a couple of days, you can pretty well rest assured that 98% of the people who will open your email have already opened it. What we'll actually do is we'll make another list based on people who haven't opened the email. We'll change the subject line and send that out to everyone who hasn't opened. And, maybe you're not getting 30% open rates on that second email, but maybe you're getting, 10 or 15% because the subject line piqued their interest. So it's all about trying different things, and marketing automation and segmentation allows you to do that.
And that trick is really helpful when you're promoting things like webinars, right? When you need people to show up live, because obviously not every single person on your email list is going to open your emails. And so when you can look into your email marketing platform and see, okay, this group of people opened, I'm going to resend it to the people who didn't open. And you're maybe going to get more people showing up for your webinar, which means more sales. So that's such a great ninja trick. And it's totally fine, by the way, because I know people are like, oh, but you're sending the same content twice. What if they open the email? So be it. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Right. And the content could be fine, but it's just a matter of changing up the subject. If you change up the subject, it gives the email complete new life. Now, at the end of the day, you got to look at your email marketing. There's really two goals of an email. Number one is to get people to open, and the second is to get people to click. Now, how do we get people to open? We get them to open by putting like a thought-provoking or an engaging subject line. That's what people are looking at. Once they open that email, the one goal you have of that email is to get them to click. So I know Lori is very good at this, and it's because I see her email marketing and I see how she structures her email and her content. It's super important that you don't go crazy and create multiple links to multiple avenues and multiple pathways. You want to have one lane and keep people in that lane. So, for example, if you're trying to push people to your signature program sales page, then every link in that email should be pushing to that signature program. You don't want to have, one going to your signature program, one going to your new blog about, detox, and one going to your Facebook page. The more links you have, the higher chance that people will not take action to what you actually want them to do. So when you're writing your emails, think to yourself, what action do I want people to take here? Is it to actually take action and, visit a website to buy a program? And make sure that's the only link. Is it just, a random engagement saying, hey, what's up? Then sure, maybe you can include a few different links to blogs and podcasts or other resources online. So you got to really kind of think about your audience. But remember, subject line to get the email opened, and content inside to get the actual link click.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really, really good point. It's one of the big mistakes that I see so many people making, is that they're trying to include 3 different calls to action inside an email, especially when the goal is to sell something. Your only job with that email is to get them over to either the booking page, the sales page, the webinar registration page. Like, those emails have singular goals. So that's a really, really good tip. So now let's shift a little bit, so that we have, we started with the platforms for everybody, just getting started. Now, and those of you listening who've been following me for a while know that I am really big on email marketing. Yes, social media is fine and it's important for brand building and whatnot, but the size and the relationship that you have with your list, in my opinion, really is the lifeblood of your business. So can we talk a little bit about a foundational funnel? Like, what is that funnel that people need to be continuously growing their email list?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And, when it does come to email marketing, size does matter. It definitely does make a difference. Something that doesn't happen overnight. And I think a lot of people get that misconception. It's like, okay, I got everything in place, I'm ready to make millions of dollars. It does not happen like that. And you can attest to, Lori, like, how long you've been doing this for? 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is.
Well,
it takes a while to build an audience, to nurture that audience. So the things that you need in place in terms of, from a foundational funnel standpoint, would be, just a basic lead magnet and a thank you page. So whether that is an opt-in to a guide, an opt-in to a challenge, whether it's an opt-in to a maybe a recipe or something of value that someone will actually give you their name and email, because that's really all we need. You want their name and email because you want to be able to address the people within your email marketing by first name, and you want their email address so that you can actually, send email to them. From there, you need a thank you page. Now, the thank you page is a lot more important than people give it credit for. The things that you're looking for on a thank you page is a video. A video of like, hey, thanks for opting in. This is what you could expect. Whitelist my email. Check your email. Join my Facebook group. That's kind of like the bridge. It's the segue to the next step that you want them to take. A lot of our clients are building Facebook groups. So that is, that's what a lot of people like to do, is on the thank you page, link to the free Facebook group to start to nurture people on social media as well. That works really well. But videos definitely work well. I would even recommend having a video on the thank you page over having a video on the opt-in page, because that is where you can really leave your mark on someone. Because if they've actually gone through the process of leaving their name, leaving their email, hitting submit, they actually, you've made some kind of connection with them. And by having a video, you can just further enhance that connection with them. So yeah, thank you page, video, link to Facebook group, next steps, next instructions. Those are all critical.
And then what happens after, so somebody subscribes, let's say Jane subscribes to the detox and she goes to the thank you page, then what happens?
Well, it depends, right? It depends what you got to think of it logically. What step do you want them to take? Do you want them to read the PDF? Maybe if that's the case, maybe you delay your email that actually gets sent. Or do you want an immediate trigger that happens as soon as they put in their name and email? Bang, they get an email back from you with a link to content. Now, here's something, and this is another pro tip. I won't call this ninja, but I'll call it a pro tip that you should all be doing. Don't just link to your guide or your PDF or whatever it is on the thank you page. You want to make sure that people are putting in real email addresses, and the way that you do that is putting your content or whatever you're giving away for free, put the link in your email. Now, I've done this many times where I've come across something online. I'm like, oh, wow, I need that. And I put in my name and I put in a fake email because I think on the thank you page, I'll be able to download it. But when I get to the thank you page, it's like, sorry, check your email to get the download link. And I'm like, shoot, I put in a bogus email. So I'd go back and put in the proper email. So definitely never link to your content on your thank you page. Put it in your email.
And absolutely, in that immediate response that comes after. So when should people start selling? So I know there's a lot of different opinions on this. All of them are right and all of them are wrong. It just depends. But in your opinion, what is the flow that people can create when it comes to, nurturing and then putting people through a sales process?
That's a very good question. So I would say number one is to start building your list. And by doing that is by having some sort of value that you're able to give away on a lead magnet or opt-in page. Once you're able to get their email, you put them to the thank you. That's when you put them into your nurture email series. And that's where a program like Active Campaign comes in handy, because that's what's actually going to be used to send your various nurture emails. So what we like to do is, after we've given that immediate response email with the actual content, a day later, a few hours later, whatever it is, we'll send a follow-up email that is, hey, it's Elan messaging you again. I just wanted you to know that, I just want to follow up and see how you like that free gift I gave you. Oh, by the way, if you like that free gift, you'll love this, with a link to your sales page. So I don't think it's ever too soon to start selling, to be honest, to be putting people into that. But you definitely want to have a list to be able to sell to. Now, don't think because you have your opt-in, you have your thank you, you have your sales page, you have your program, you have everything in place. Don't just think you're going to, it's just a matter of turning on a switch and things are going to happen. You have to grow that list, because guess what? I would say, 90% of the people on your list aren't going to want what you're trying to sell. But it's the 10% that you need to identify, that you need to segment, that you need to market to, that's going to make the difference. And that and growing that 10% exponentially through your list is what, that's where the magic happens.
Amazing. These have been such good tips. Thank you so much, Elan, for imparting your wisdom and just sharing some of your pro tips and some of your ninja tips. Where can people go to find out more about ZigiMedia?
Oh, thank you. You've hit us up at www.zigimedia.com. That's ZIGIMEDIA.com. You can take a look at some of the different things that we offer and some of the different services that we provide to our clients. You can book a consultation or just shoot us an email. We'd be happy to speak about your next project with you.
Amazing. And we're going to definitely link to that. And Elan and I are also going to be co-hosting a webinar that's coming up soon. So if you're listening to this in real time, we'll have the link and the date for that webinar also on the show notes, which you can go and grab at LoriKennedyInc.com/podcast. Thanks so much, Elan. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, everyone.
I do hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Business of Becoming podcast. As always, you can find any resources and links mentioned on the show over on the show notes available on LoriKennedyInc.com/podcast. And remember to subscribe and leave a review in iTunes. Let me know what you loved most about this episode. And again, thank you for listening to the Business of Becoming podcast.